you'd said you were going to check in with how I was feeling. I can barely talk right now afterwards. When I'd feel like I'm a 10, and then I could get right out of it. I'd put my attention right on you or right on you, and then I'd calm down. But anytime I let my attention come back, I mean, it was that incident again. And it was about having to speak or be in front of a group of people.
So tell us about the whole incident at this point. And tap while you're doing it too. Just go and tap.
I'd been in the 3rd grade in a Catholic school, and I'd had really nice nuns. And they were large classes. And I had a good friend in my class, and her older sister I really liked, and I wanted to be in her class. So I started a campaign at home, which was, I'm so bored. So my mother, who prided herself on her intelligence, arranged to have me tested, and they decided I could skip the grade. By the time this all got done, it was, I looked this up recently, it was 8 weeks, 2 months left of 4th grade. And they said, okay, you're skipping, you go into 4th grade. And so I left the classroom one day, and a friend helped me carry all my books, walked into the 4th grade classroom, and the classes then all had 50 kids in them. And I went in and sat down at a desk, and the nun was in the front of the room, and there was all this stuff on the board that I'd never seen before, on the blackboard. And she said, okay, Brooke, come up here and show us how smart you are. And I walked in front of the classroom, and I stood there in front of everybody, and I didn't know what was on the board. I'd never seen these things before. It was long division, and I had no idea what this was. And I don't remember. I just remember being humiliated, terrible. I can't feel my body as I'm saying that.
So when you began, you said you were 10. Where were you in your body at that time? How did you know you were 10?
I was feeling a vibration and heat from down to my feet and my hands. My hands were sweaty, and there was a whirring all through my body, a shakiness. Just as I say that, I feel a shift. I'm calming right now.
So just go ahead and tell the story again. Start at the beginning, that you wanted to be in your friend's class.
Walking down, carrying my books. I was in my friend's class in 3rd grade and worked a way of getting out of there. And
You told your mom you were bored.
told my mom I'm really bored. The other thing is they wouldn't let us use pens. You had to use pencils, and I didn't like pencils. You had to be older to use pencils. And so arranged, just kept saying I'm bored, and finally my mother had skipped 2 grades, so she really lapped this up and arranged to have testing done. And then they said, okay, you belong in the next grade up. So the day came to switch me into the class, and so the teacher I was with assigned somebody to help me carry my books, and walked into the 4th grade classroom, and it was full of people, and there's the board that goes the whole length of the front of the room, and all this white chalk, all these chalk marks and squiggles and stuff all over the door, the drawings on the blackboard. And I sat down at a desk that she assigned me to and put my books down, and without breaking stride, I don't think I'd even been at my desk very long. She said, okay, Brooke, come up here and show us how smart you are. And I walked to the front of the class, and I stood there in front of the board, and I looked at the board, and I didn't know what to make of it. I didn't know what to do, and I don't think I could say anything. I just stood there and felt really stupid, like I'd fooled everybody into thinking I was smart. And really, I wasn't very smart. smart enough to fool them, but I didn't know this stuff. I didn't know what it was. And I was so embarrassed. And everybody was just watching me.
What happened next? Did the nun say anything, or?
I don't remember. She probably said, "Go to your seat." I don't remember. I was alone in there, and I was really alone as a child. I don't remember. I don't remember if I probably told my mother, but I don't know. I don't remember anything about that.
And then at recess.
And I went
Children
out at
came.
recess, and it was under this small tree, and all the kids, many kids, gathered a circle around me, and they were really comforting and nice and understanding, and said, "Well, you need to know multiplication tables in order to do long division," and told me how to do it. And I remember I learned 11 tables right then, because that was easy. You just went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and added another of the same to 99. And then I got stopped. But then I started at home memorizing the times tables really as fast as I could. But they'd had all year. I'd always thought until recently that I'd really skipped most of third, but when I I found some old records, and really I hadn't had most of fourth grade. So they'd all learned that along the year, but I didn't know anything about it.
So the moment here that is the point of most distress is when the nun said, "Come here and show us how smart you are."
Yeah, okay, Brooke, show us how smart you are.
Yeah, so keep tapping on that. Just tap on that. And say the phrase over again.
Okay, Brooke, show us how smart you are.
Then he went up to the front.
I went up to the front and I stood there and looked at the board and didn't know what to do with it. It was just numbers and strange lines on the board.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Just the way I am.
Just the way I am.
And just the way I am not.
And just the way I am not.
Sometimes I do things to get what I want.
Sometimes I do things to get what I want.
And it all turns out badly.
And it all turns out badly.
Sometimes I do things to get what I want.
Sometimes I do things to get what I want.
It turns out well.
It turns out well.
You never know how it'll turn out.
I never know how it'll turn out.
It turned out very badly that time.
It turned out very badly that time.
I still hurt because of it.
That moment was bad. It didn't turn out all badly because I got to be with my friend that I really liked.
So that moment's the one you focus on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and so it didn't turn out all bad. And the reason I have you say that is just to try and
Thank you. That moment
bypass the
turned out
conscious
badly.
mind and then pet the dog. Because all of this is just to get around our cognitive things and just pet the dog. And you are smart. So you have the disability of having a big forebrain, big smart forebrain, which will tell you all kinds of stories which will stop you just petting the dog, doing some simple things. So you got to keep on foxing that forebrain enough to let yourself heal. And so saying ridiculous things is a good way to do that, because then the forebrain is saying, well, but she didn't do that, it wasn't, and then it gets so confused, its resistance collapses, it can't process all that stuff, and the dog gets stroked. So that's what we're shooting for here. So I always get what I want.
I always get what I want.
It always turns out badly.
It always turns out badly.
I always get what I want.
I always get what I want.
It never turns out badly.
It never turns out badly.
Nothing ever turns out badly.
Nothing ever turns out badly.
Everything always turns out badly.
Everything always turns out badly.
All the nuns turned out badly.
All the nuns turned out badly.
Everything at school turned out badly.
Everything at school turned out badly.
Everything at school turned out well.
Everything at school turned out well.
Things turn out both well and badly.
things turn out both well and badly.
It's very confusing.
It's very confusing.
And it often hurts.
It often hurts.
I don't know where I am.
I don't know where I
I
am
don't know who I am
and who I am
in the middle of all this confusion.
in the middle of all this confusion.
I deeply love and accept myself anyway,
I deeply love and accept myself anyway,
despite all the confusion.
despite all the confusion.
I can't figure it out.
I can't figure it out.
I still love and accept myself.
I still love and accept myself.
Okay, so now another couple of breaths, just thinking again about the key pivotal emotional moment of going up to the front of the class and looking at the blackboard. There's probably a moment when you looked at the blackboard and realized, oh no.
I'm seeing it as a picture. I'm not feeling it disturbing. I mean, and the energy I feel in my body feels like it's alive from the tapping. I'm not feeling disturbed by it.
What number are you?
I want to say a 0. A 1, 1. But
No,
1 to
call me
0.
0. I need like 3 or 4. No, just kidding.
No, I mean, it's flat. It's flat when I go there. God, I got a really nice lab here. Pun not intended. But thank you.
So what made the difference between you being able to shift from not being able to feel the intensity of it to be able to feel the intensity of it while we were working with Valerie? What was was sympathy with Valerie, or
It
was
was
it
the anticipation with each of them of, oh, I'm going to have to be in front of these people. I wanted to do this, but it was it's coming up, and I've got to be there, and eyes are going to be on me. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think that's what really got it up. So it was really alive. The experience of sitting here was what evoked the other.
One thing too is that as you
This triggered it.
yeah, as each of them remembered, as each of them went through the healing process and tapped more, they all remembered more detail about the incident. And it's very interesting that you mentioned the tree the second time in recess, but not the first time. So all these
I
things.
could see it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So, because we repressed all this emotional stuff, including part of the memory. So we start to release it, and suddenly, oh, I also remember that ... this happened, this happened, this happened.
They were comforting, and I didn't have access to that
Right.
before.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true.
So you'll find the second time you tell the story, or the third time, often there's more detail. And then you can also look for events like Valerie, when you talk about your mom being in the doorway and screaming, it just sounded like your voice changing. That was so we've dealt with 90% of the story, but there's still 10% that's highly emotive. So we then focus on that bit. And with you, it looked, Brooke, as though the time that the moment the nun said, "Come here and show us how smart you are," Brooke, when she said your name, and then you were at the blackboard, that was the really highly emotive part of the story. So we go there and we focus there. And just rerun that little bit of the tape until your number comes down to a 0, and then probably the rest of the tape is going to be 0 as well, once the pivotal one is.
Did you say at the end when, because I'm not sure I caught something, but it was very disorienting when you're doing the negative and the positive and...
Good. I'm so happy, thank you.
Whoa. And you're doing that to scramble the whole thing up?
I'm doing it to scramble your forebrain.
It was scrambled.
Good. Yeah.
But that's how you scramble it, and you scramble it so it loosens its hold on the old story?
Yeah. I'm pretty I'll do anything to scramble the forebrain, because the forebrain's been telling us all these stories and having all these interpretations, and the thing is, there's a terrified child in there. That's what you got to take care of. And all the adult rationalization and stories and reasons and stuff, it's just stopping you from taking that child and giving a huge big hug and saying, "I love you, you're okay." So that's what we have to do. And we distract ourselves with all this other stuff because it's so emotionally charged, we can't go there. So we use our forebrains to distract ourselves. And so, again, Fritz Perls in Gestalt therapy was just ruthless on the forebrain. He would just, Brad Blanton, who taught me most of that, material said his favorite motto was, "A mind is a terrible thing, waste it." You know? He was just trying to get people out of their heads and into their bodies where they can feel things. Because he says we keep on having these horrible experiences emotionally, and we just jump back into our heads and out of our bodies. So the whole thing about Gestalt and radical honesty is to get into your body and feel your feelings. Then you can tap through them and let them go. But until you feel them, and you were particularly a vivid example of that, because you were saying you couldn't feel it. You knew it had been a bad thing, but you couldn't have the feelings. And then when you began to describe them, you began to cry and clearly experiencing.
And running this forward, theoretically, then the next time I have to make a presentation or do something, I probably would not feel the same level of distress, if any. I mean, or the normal, is that how this might play out?
Well, tell you what, stand up for a moment. Now make a presentation to these people over here about London red double-decker buses. Tell us all you know about them. Just, impromptu.
If you unwrap them and they're chocolate inside, they're good.
Very good.
I wouldn't have trouble. I don't have trouble just talking like this. If I'd had something I had to prepare ahead of time, I mean, I could ad lib something and not feel the same discomfort. It would be
So it's
more
when you have
prepared.
advanced preparation.
Yeah, when it's like I've had to do some presentations at Spirit Rock and stuff recently, and or for the past several years. But it's like I have to dot all my I's and cross every T, because I'm so afraid if I don't know everything, I'm not going to make it. And the pressure that I feel to. And I'll start with 8 pages because I've done all sorts of research, and I only need a page, but then I have to whittle it back. But it's that insurance, so a lot of wasted energy.
And I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Top dog. So there.
Thank
I
you.
accept myself when I prepare.
I accept myself when I prepare.
I accept myself when I don't prepare.
I accept myself when I don't prepare.
I'm very smart in some ways.
I'm very smart in some ways.
I'm very dumb in some ways.
I'm very dumb in some ways.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Just the way I am.
Just the way I am.
Okay, how do you feel as you say that now? Just tapping and talking.
Yeah, my body, it's a totally different body experience. Yeah.
Good.
Thank you. So appreciate this. Thank you all.